Welcome back to Video Champions. I'm Howard Wolpoff, your host. Again, this is brought to you by Teal, the agency. With me is my co-host, Andrew Cardy. Andrew, welcome to our conversation today.
Thank you so much, Howard. Nice to be with you.
Nice being here with you, and nice to talk about this topic because independent films is something that really is very special. Is something that people put a lot of heart and soul into, and viewers really enjoy. And this is what we're going to be talking about with our guest. But how challenging is it to define the ability to make an independent film?
Well, I mean, I started my career in narrative films, short films, and then I worked on some feature films. Actually, a couple of them played at the New York Independent Film Festival. So It's really a pleasure to have our guest here today. But the work of creating a piece of art, a piece of film, whether it's short, whether it's feature, whether it's independent or commercially funded, there's a collaboration and a challenge to it. And man, it's exciting when you can do it. And the independent is like the power of saying, I'm going to do this and I'm going to kind of will my way through all the obstacles to be able to achieve that. And it's a really special thing, I think.
Well, yeah, it definitely is. And some of the results are outstanding.
Yes.
And I'm excited to talk about this topic more because we have a really great guest, Dennis Cieri from the New York Independent Film Festival. And Dennis, welcome to our conversation today.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Well, we're excited because the film festival is coming up shortly. We want to know a little bit more about the logistics of this year, but also this has been around for quite a while at this point.
Yes, 17 years.
17 years is a nice long stretch of some really great films being shown. So what goes into planning a film festival, and what do you have special set up for this upcoming one?
Well, we have 90 judges that are scattered around the world, and we have 7 curators, which are also scattered around the world. And we all work together and we come up with a program. And this year we're actually going to have a panel on the secrets of finding a good sales rep, the secrets of distribution. We're going to have the Marines are going to come because they want, if you're going to have a plane fly by, they want it to be a Marine plane, so they're going to explain how to get the Marines to help you make your war movie. And we always have an opening party where all the filmmakers come and get together and talk and chat. And Andrew, I heard you said you had a couple of films, and that's actually very common for us. We have a lot of filmmakers that send us their film every single year or every 2 years when they finally finish them. And that is awesome.
So you have a lot of films that come into this Festivals Pass. Are you finding these films, or film creators coming to you to get their film into the festival?
We use the film submission platforms. We use 3 of them actually at this point. So people submit the film to the festival, and then we watch them, and then we pick what is hopefully the 200 best films. We always feel, as a filmmaker, I always have a very hard time with the selection process because I understand exactly how much of a heart and soul it takes to make a movie. And so when I'm rejecting somebody's film because unfortunately somebody else's film is better, I always have a hard time with that. And my curators keep saying yes, but then you're being nice to the guy who did a better job. So what's more important?
That's a good point, Dennis. And I think every filmmaker, you put your heart and soul into it. And so, I mean, part of the nature of it is festivals are going to reject you and festivals are going to accept you. And, once you release that film, it has its own life of its own, right?
It's just like having a child. You send that child out into the world and you hope they do a good job, but you actually have no control of if they do a good job or not.
Shoot. Dennis, do you know how many submissions you had this year here in 2025?
I think 1,200.
Wow, that's amazing. How long does it take you and your team to move through that and put together the program that you do?
We've already started on the 2026 program.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. One of the things I wanted to ask.
Sorry.
Oh no, please.
I was going to say, almost the day that we finally say, okay, here's the set program for this year, the next day we start working on the program for the following year. So it's a year-round 365-day process.
Yeah. Dennis, I was wondering, 17 years of a festival, you've seen a couple generations of filmmakers come through. What makes this 2025 class of films? What are you excited about the filmmakers and the stories that they're telling in this year's festival?
Part of what it is that in some ways, some of the same filmmakers that we had 17 years ago are submitting films this year. But you've got to realize they've had 17 years of filmmaking experience. So the quality of their films have improved because, these are smart, driven people. So the quality of the films that we're getting are actually increasing. So in some ways, I even feel a little bit bad about that because the younger filmmakers it's actually becoming harder for that first-time filmmaker to break into the industry because there are people who are making indie films now for 25, 30 years. 17 years ago, indie films weren't as big as they are now. So the competition wasn't quite as intense. But on the other side, people are getting distribution deals. We lost 4 really good films to the fact that they're going to be distributed. They're going to be released theatrically in New York City by the time my film festival comes around. So they had to pull out of the film festival because their distributor said, no, we're going to be in New York City by then. You can't be shown at the festival. So it's a good and bad. There's actually money to be made in the indie film festival. As an indie filmmaker now.
Yeah, and your experience as a independent documentary filmmaker and other projects you've done, why do you think it's easier to make independent films and harder now for that distribution?
Well, I remember the first movie I made, I was 16 years old. You had to have, there was magnetic tape for the sound. You had to do the clipboard, and then you had to bring it down to 44th Street, 9th Avenue, and have it developed. And you had to put everything onto magnetic tape. And you had these 3/4-inch reels, and you put them on these big machines, and you sat there and you worked at them. And it was a lot of money, and it was a lot of work. Now, literally, with a few $1,000s, you can buy yourself a halfway decent camera. And I watched somebody actually on the subway the other day. They were editing their film on an iPad. I looked at him and I said, "You can do that?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, it's great." And he had this pencil and he was using it, and it was really easy what he was doing. I was quite amazed. He was quite artistic. Like, he had a good eye, but the technical aspect of it was a breeze. Like, he was just, he had it down. It was quite amazing to see. And I think that's part of the reason why now, before, a lot of people had their creativity crushed just by the technical side of things. Now the technical side of things is becoming so easy that creativity is able to stay alive.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so, Dennis, for you as a filmmaker and a creative professional, you're just looking at the list of projects you've done that you've seen completed and released and distributed. I mean, it spans such a big spectrum. Kind of, what is it that draws you to a project? What is it that you're like pings that that gut that says, I got to do this?
That's a really good question, because I've actually turned down a lot of projects because, to my gut, I love them, but when I was realistic, I was like, oh, I can't do that. Nobody's going to be interested in what I can do because it was somebody else created. But yeah, I find sustainability to be something that I'm really into. And the other thing I find is I love travel. And I went to Cuba. I just got back, and I have some great stuff that's coming out for Cuba in a couple of sites. And yeah, I mean, I love people. So I travel the world. But one of the logic behind the film festival is people from all over the world get together in New York City, and as we all talk and show each other's movies, we realize everybody in the world basically is looking for exactly the same thing. We want to be happy. We want our family to be happy. We want to be fed, and we want to be warm and comfortable. And yeah, that's what I find when I travel. If I see that I see that everywhere I travel, and I love that aspect of it. And I try to capture that in camera any way I can.
Yeah.
Well,
Dennis, last question. Can I ask one last question?
Sure.
All right, one last question, quick one. I'm getting the note to wrap up, but I have to ask it. You with the film festival, with your experience, what's one piece of advice you would give to a first-time filmmaker or somebody that's eyeing this dream or this passion?
It's going to be work. It's going to be hard. You're going to have to put up with rejection. You're going to get more rejection than you thought possible, and you're just going to have to be thick-skinned enough to accept the fact. While at the same token, you're going to have to listen to all that criticism and say, okay, that was a mistake on my part, and I have to fix that. But you're going to have to figure out what is a mistake on your part and what is preference and taste. And that's going to be the hardest part for you to do.
Yeah, fantastic.
Well, it's clear that you've worked with so many different individuals on your own projects, with the amazing amount of movies that you have to watch just in preparation for the festival. You really are a wonderful resource of knowledge, and we thank you so much for being on with us today.
Oh, no, thank you for having me. It was great. I enjoyed it. It's great meeting you guys.
You too. And thank you all for joining us as well. Independent film is a great opportunity for people to learn, to people to show their creativity, to really get to tell stories that they control and they have their own focus on. And it's great that they have these festivals like this to be able to show them. And sometimes people win prizes, and that leads to really great things for their film careers. So if you have the opportunity to check out the New York City Independent Film Festival, please do. But go out, have a great rest of today, and we will see you next time.